Hello everyone, my name is Tarun and I'm from CSC department A section. In this video, I'm going to explain about scope of a variable in Java. So to need to understand the scope of a variable, we need to know what are the types of variables that are there in Java. There are four types of variables. They are local variables, instance variables, class or static variables, method parameters. So scope of variable. So what is a scope? Scope is nothing but the block of code in which a variable can be accessed. The scope is also defined as the lifetime of a variable. Scope of local variables. So what are local variables? Local variables are the variables that are declared inside the method. These local variables can only be accessed inside that method. They cannot be accessed throughout the class. So the scope of local variables can be defined as inside the method. Scope of instance variables. So what are the instance variables? Instance variables are the variables that are declared outside the method but inside the class. So this scope of instance variables is throughout the class. We can access these instance variables throughout that class. We can also access these variables outside this class inside the other class. Like we can declare the object of that class and we can access these instance variables outside the class inside other classes. Scope of class variable. So what is a class variable? Class variable is same like instance variables. These are also declared outside the method inside the class, but these class variables are declared using a special keyword called as static. We can use static keyword to declare the class variables. These class variables can be accessed throughout the class. They can also be accessed inside other classes without creating an object. We can use the name of the class dot this class variable name to access these class variables inside other classes. So the scope of class variables can be defined as inside that class, and they can also be accessed outside of the class inside other classes using the class name. Scope of method parameters. Method parameters are nothing but the variables that are passed to methods. These method parameters serve as inputs for method execution. The scope of method parameter ends after the method execution ends. Let me explain all these scopes of all these four types of variables using programs. So first let me explain the local variables. So local variables are the variables that are declared inside the method. Let me create a method called as hello, and this doesn't have any parameters. And in this, I'm declaring a variable which is x. It is of type int. So this is a local variable. This local variable can only be accessed inside this method, which is hello. So we can print hello. We can print this x inside this method only. To print this, we have to create a object of scope of variable class. So we have created an object. We can access this method hello using this object obj.hello. This prints the x value. Let me save and compile. Let me save and compile and run this program. So there are no errors. Let me run this program. So 7 is printed here, but if we try to access the x value inside this main method without creating an object like system.out.print of x, this will create an error. Let me save, compile, and so we get this error here, like cannot find the symbol x. So x can only be accessed inside this method. We cannot access this x value outside this method, like we are trying to access this x value inside this main method. So we cannot do this. Scope of this local variable only inside this method. So this is about local variable. And let me explain about instance variables. Let me create another class called as x and int 10. So y is an instance variable. Let me create a method message which prints the value of y. So here y is an instance variable. So this instance variable can be accessed throughout this class. So here in this message method, we can access y variable. And if we create any other methods inside this class, we can access y value in all of those methods. Let me show you how it can be done. So to print the y value, we have to create an object. And using this object, I'm accessing the message method. And inside that message method, we are printing the value of y. So basically this obj dot message will print the y value. So the value of y is 10. So this is about instance variables. If we try to access the value of y inside this main method, inside this other class, which is a scope of variable, without creating an object, this is not possible. Like we are trying to print this y value without creating an object. This is not possible in Java. We'll get an error. So the value of y can be accessed inside this class x any in any place of class x. You can also access this instance variable inside other classes by creating an object. So this is about instance variable. Let me explain about static variable with a program. The static variables or class variables can be declared using a static keyword. So I have to write static here to make it a class variable. So this class variable can be accessed inside other classes by without creating an object. First, let me explain what is the scope. So this is class variable, class or static variable. So this static variable can be accessed entire this class. We can access here as well y. So here we can print the value of y, which is a static variable. So entire this class can access this static variable y. And if we try to print the static variable here without creating a class, without creating an object, and without using the name of the class, we cannot do that. Like I'm trying to print the value of y directly. So here it says cannot find the symbol y. we get the same error here. So we can access this using the class name, which is x dot. So here we can print 10. So this static variable can be accessed using the class name, which is x here, x dot y will print the value of y. So basically the static variable can be accessed entire the class x and can be accessed inside other classes by without creating an object by using the name of the class itself. So this is about a static variable. The other variable is method parameters. So let me just create a method which is void hello, and here we have to pass the parameters. I'm just passing int x and I'm just printing the value of x. We can write any other statements here. I'm just printing x. So this is x. X is a parameter, method parameter. So this x can be accessed only inside this method. If we try to access this x here, it won't be possible. So how can we pass this x value inside this method? First, we have to create an object of scope of variable class. Obj is equal to new scope of variable. We have created an object successfully. Now we have to call this hello method. We have to call this hello method using object obj dot hello, and we have to pass the parameters here. So the parameter is of type int. So we have to pass like integer, which can be 10. So this will print the value of x, which is 10. So I'm compiling and running this program. So it will print value of x. We cannot like access the value of x here. This will cause an error. We'll get an error here. So cannot find the symbol x. You can only access the value of x inside this method. So this here x is a local variable. So x can be accessed inside this method only. So this is about scope of a variable in Java. Thank you.